everyone. Shall we start? Ready? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this panel. So it's entitled Schoo Builds Web3, Empowering the Next Wave of Founders and Creators. And today we have amazing women. Welcome Candice Teo, and who's from Espoir PR and Communications. Then we have Alice Lee from Foresight Ventures, Daria Bistrova from Tangem, Lizzie Liu from Qdis, and Alexandra Overgag from Thrill Labs, and myself, Ksenia Drobushevska from Bitmart Exchange. So I'll give each one of you like maybe 1-2 minutes to present yourself, the company, and yeah, just a quick intro. Let's start with Candice.
Hi, I'm Candice. I'm the principal consultant and founder of Espoir PR and Communications. I'm a freelance consultant working across different projects in the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cosmos ecosystems. I've been around Web3 since 2017, and I've actually have extensive experience working with infrastructure projects, which I kind of prefer and really enjoy working with. And I'm very excited today to share my insights of, gleaned from all the experiences in working with a multitude of C-suites and leaderships.
Thank you. And Alice?
Hi guys, my name is Alice, and I'm the investment partner at Foresight Ventures and also the head of US. So Foresight is a crypto fund. The AUM is around 400 million asset under management. Right now, our primary focus will be on definitely crypto and on also the intersection of crypto and AI, plus crypto and stablecoin. Yeah, I'm very happy to join this conversation and happy to learn more about what you guys are building.
Amazing, thank you. Passing to Daria.
Hello everyone, very happy to join you for this discussion today as well. I'm marketing and business development lead in Tangem, helping to drive growth to several companies, startups, and helping them evolve to big businesses. And Tangem particularly is a hardware wallet that has been evolving since recently over the last 3 years and becoming more popular thanks to its secure solution, self-custody, and accessibility to everyone, innovative approach to user experience when you don't have to necessarily have seed phrase, and you simply have to tap your card or your ring against your phone to store your assets securely.
Perfect, thanks.
Hi everyone, hope you all got some lunch. My name is Lizzie, I'm with Qdis, so we're the longevity protocol. I'm very active, been very active in Solana, and now we're exploring other ecosystem as well. So one of our product that maybe a lot of you already have like a competitor version of it, it's Aura Ring. So here is our Qdis ring. So actually Tangem has a ring as well, but that's more for wallet. For us, we track your sleep, track your step, and so really we want to make sure you're doing well when it comes to health and wellness. So it's definitely a consumer brand.
Epic. So I'm Alex. I was emceeing here before. Sorry for being late. I was at the wrong room, basically. Apologies about that. I'm the founder and CEO of Thrill Labs. We are here officially a networking partner. Not everyone knows that. But basically, you might have seen some flyers laying around. I've built Thrilled, which is a free and open access networking app for Web3 professionals. So the idea is that regardless of where you are, all across the world, male, female, however you identify, if you care about Web3, if you're building professionally, you can download the app in the App Store or Google Play Store, and you can connect with those people that you're looking for. And why is that? I'm a lawyer and political scientist by education. Became interested in crypto in 2017, really decided that I didn't want to join the legacy institutions, but rather wanted to help build a better world from the Web3 space. Long story short, I then saw that doing business in our industry is really tricky, a little bit unfair and not really efficient. So then I thought we can build something for that. So that's why I built then Thrilled, raised some capital, and now we're expanding. We collaborate with lots of events, et cetera, et cetera. And we're building a Web3 decentralized ticketing and event management system as well currently that will work alongside the networking app. So long story short, we want to make business in Web3 better and help people as well and make the space just a little bit better and hopefully more fair. That's it from my side.
Thank you so much. All right, and I'll present also myself. My name is Xenia. I'm from Bitmart Exchange. For those who don't know, Bitmart is one of the biggest crypto exchanges, top coin market cap, and it was founded more than 7 years ago. And it's a trusted crypto exchange. We have more than 1,700 trading pairs, and recently launched a new, launching in a couple of weeks, a new trading assistant powered by AI. Myself, I'm doing growth and marketing at Bitmart Exchange. So let's start the panel with the first question. So I'm going to ask it to Daria. What excites you the most in Web3 landscape, especially from a founder and perspective and a creator perspective?
From my own perspective, based on my experience, one of the most insightful takeaways I have recently learned is that users recently are not focused anymore on speculation, but they're rather focused on utility and more interesting solutions, more convenient solutions, and expanding their, by getting more educated in the crypto space, they're expanding their experience to larger and more complex and sophisticated tools. So at this particular case, in this situation, it's highly important for the businesses to be able to keep up with those needs and to build tools that are not only helping users to solve one particular need, but also to be quite all-in-one solution. And from Tangent perspective, that's what especially we are trying to deliver, to make cold wallet not only be condemned as a product that is supposed to store your cryptocurrency in the long term, but also to allow users to reach out to new apps, to new functionality, to make it as simple as possible, to get onboarded new people within the crypto space, to more selected tools and more secure tools as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Next question I would ask for Candice. So how do you see the consumer adoption in the next 2 or 3 years, and how can founders prepare for it?
I think at this moment, we have seen an exponential growth in institutional adoption, and a lot of people are taking it as a high signal for mainstream adoption. I don't think it's actually that black and white. The majority of society actually cannot benefit from this institutional adoption, well, at least in the way that the first principles actually promise. And I guess what a lot of the builders are actually building for. So if you want to look at what's happening, what may happen in the next 2 or 3 years in the immediate future, I think it will be on the payment side of things that has actually obviously evolved quite quickly, mainly because when it comes to money, everyone gets really excited about it, right? And so we'll probably see a lot more purchases made using crypto. We'll probably see a little bit more of the semi-native crypto people actually buying crypto. I think Chainlink and MasterCard had a major announcement this week where they're going to actually make it really easy to buy crypto using just the bank card. You don't have to go through centralized entities or a wallet, etc. Maybe not great news for a lot of the projects here. But what they're doing is what I think founders should think of. It's basically understand the user journey. They're talking about UX, and we haven't really solved that, but they don't think about the bigger picture of user journey. What Chainlink and MasterCard are doing is to meet them where they're familiar. Right? You don't have to learn how to open a wallet or download something or bridge or something like that. So founders should understand the journey. Founders should also learn to educate the consumers that would be actually eventually using their tools when it's ready. Educate them on the why. Educate them on the for whom. Educate them a little bit on the how, but then make sure that the how for them is actually easy. It meets them so that they don't have to, take a full day to actually learn how to, download something or click something. And also, I think most importantly, founders should look beyond earlier. A lot of them think that the mainnet is actually the end game. That's not true. After you launch mainnet, how are you going to make it better? Because a lot of founders are actually saying done is better than perfect. So fine, you're done, but how do you actually improve it so that the consumer adoption is actually going to be there and actually be sustainable? So, yeah.
I want to add a little bit from my perspective because we're building consumer product from the beginning. So I think one thing, our whole hypothesis is that the consumer will use a product if it's a good product. They don't really need to know this is crypto. Like for us, we launched the ring and then we're just like, hey, this is just another Aura ring without subscription and cheaper and better. So buy this. So a lot of people bought and a lot of people didn't know what crypto is. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, you're giving me airdrop. That's great. So I think a lot of the times this is the best way from a consumer perspective of conversion. Okay, you're just using a product like usual. A bunch of new projects like your cold wallet or a bunch of DeFi innovations, but from a DePIN space, a bunch of other projects are doing so. So I think consumer side is more of a trend to me that altcoin might not be coming back. So with that said, people have to build a solid business, not just for 1 year, but really for 10 years and think about the revenue model and compete with Web2.
Yeah, actually, consumers want options. They want good options. And when you have that for them, they're going to stay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Do you have something to add, Alice, maybe to this question?
I totally agree with that. I think like in this discussion, we could see two trends. One is on-chain. Of course, there are a lot of protocol, a lot of projects. Even like Coinbase Circle, they're building their own protocols to make people access crypto easily. And all the Coinbase payment protocol stuff, it's like you could just click a few buttons and then they could tell how, they could have an operator to kind of custody the whole process, just like Web2 is doing. So all of the merchants could replicate the traditional payment fund flow using on-chain tools that can completely just skip banking infrastructure. And then the other part is definitely for the off-chain part, you could see a lot of the regulations are being more clear, and then all the big players, even Web2, Web3, they're all getting stablecoin license these days. So I think the opportunity is definitely there. And then once stablecoins get more regulated, all of the big players wanted to launch their own stablecoin, and we will have more liquidity to tap into. The problem is like, how do you seize this opportunity as a project, as a founder, which go back to the point that we talked about before. It's like, how do you build a good UI UX? How do you compete with others in light of like all of the market growth, but also like your competitor also is like growing like very fast. Yeah.
Thank you. And my next question would be to Alexandra. What is the most unexpected challenge that you've encountered from like a building and scaling Web3 project?
All right, so let me start by saying that I like the question, but I think that we as an industry and sometimes as entrepreneurs, we tend to like focus a lot on the challenges rather than on the opportunities. So I'll be happy to answer it, but I do want to also add something more positive. First of all, as a challenge, this is a female builders kind of like panel. I think that at times it can be a little bit challenging, and it's not always the case, but to be a female founder in this industry, specifically if you are non-dev, right? So if you don't have a technical background, if you want to raise capital, if you're a first-time founder, maybe you like to wear a dress and high heels, right? There is some bias sometimes with people. It's not the end of the world. We are all humans. We all have our biases. I have them as well. But that is definitely something that I wasn't necessarily expecting. To be really plain, I'm Dutch. I'm direct, maybe too direct, especially with talking with VCs. From time to time, you do really notice sometimes a bias, like, oh, are you the sales lead or are you the marketing lady? No, I'm the founder and CEO. I mean, it's a small project, but still, right? So a little bit of human bias. I suppose that is something that has been a challenge that I've encountered. However, it's up to us as builders, as entrepreneurs, as individuals, whatever type of biases that we encounter as women or non-women or however you are, to go over that, right? From a more positive perspective, I would say that so much is really possible in this industry. I would say that, if I look at our own team, I met people from all across the world that I could never have encountered if I wasn't in the Web3 space. Our CTO is based out of the United States. We have people in South Korea. We have team members in Nigeria, in Scotland, in Italy. So I really love that part as well. And actually the fact that as long as you keep pushing, and you keep looking for that right person or that right entity to collaborate with, I would say almost any challenge can be solved as long as you keep going. Yeah, that's with regards to challenges, I suppose, if you want to keep it a little bit brief. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing answer. That's we have to keep it positive, obviously. But do you have something to add, maybe, Daria, to this?
Yes, sure. That's actually a very interesting question, because I believe that lots of projects have faced the same kind of challenge here. When you launch a new product, it's always quite complicated to reach out to beginners and to onboard users who have not been really in the crypto space yet. The job comes quite easy when you target, let's say, not very wide, and you are mainly specializing on particular needs that are designed for more advanced users who are already educated. But when it comes to delivering more complicated products to larger audiences, this is a real challenge, and especially for us from Tangible Wallet perspective, being a hardware wallet within a particular segment, we are trying to reach out and break the borders and trying to make cold wallets available to anyone. And this is actually our mission, to marry together simplicity and security, to decrease the number of security issues, to decrease the number of billions lost due to improper managed seed phrases, due to difficulties with private keys leakages. So for us, quite challenging is the task to onboard, to explain with simple words what is self-custody, to educate and onboard new users, to explain what is cold storage, why it has advantage over other solutions on the market. So this is a very challenging, at the same time very, very engaging task, and really has a lot of importance, because the more people, especially newcomers, those who are not very familiar with crypto itself, with Web3, they have several questions. What kind of instruments I should start with? What particular products? Why particularly this brand? So it's like a whole journey, and to drive the users through all this journey is a very exciting job. And also the mission to deliver self-custody with a simple product design, where you don't need to spend a lot of time on onboarding as a user, where you don't need to research a lot. You simply take with Tangible Wallet, you simply upload Tangem app, you get a pack of 3 cards, you tap it against your phone with NFC, and here you are. Here you are in Web3. No need to do more.
Amazing, thank you. My next question would be what advice would you give to the early Web3 founders who build a trust and community? And you girls are free to contribute to this question, but let's start with Candice.
I would say define and articulate your vision right from the start. The early believers who follow your project and who believe in your project will be the same ones who actually believe in that vision. These are the ones that will stay to the end. And in that way, you are also able to hire people in the team, build your team out with people who have the same vision. And even if your product roadmap or somewhere along the way needs to pivot, always remember what your original vision is. Why this is important is because it demonstrates consistency, demonstrates credibility, and demonstrates your actual own belief in your project. So consistency is important in this industry because it's already so fickle. There's so much scams. There's just too much there. It's very difficult to build trust, which is ironic because we kind of want everything to be trustless. But yeah, so and a lot of founders tend to lose their way as they're trying to bend to the whims of VCs, to the community and the ones that join because they were interested in the airdrop and don't really understand what your project's building and why and actually care about your project. So so do better PR, do better storytelling, and don't forget to tell them why they should care. And be consistent about that. Be transparent. I think there's two paths that founders can take in transparency. One is being transparent in their thought process and they're sharing it with the community. And the other one is, coming clean when something has happened. That might be a little bit too late. So when you tell people your vision and they believe in it and then continuously stick to that same vision, they will believe that you're there for the longer term and not just there for a flash trend or something like that. Yeah.
Great.
Couldn't agree more. I definitely think as an early stage startup in crypto, it's very unforgiving. Once the trust is broken, the project is pretty much over in my view. Or sure, there's unicorns. So for us, also super agreeing with Candice on the identifying your core community members. So for us, we pretty much found our first 1,500 customers. And then we launched different programs to reward those users. And then we have our user ambassador program. So I think a bunch of those gamification as well as making sure people are throughout with you, never fed. That's really, really important. And secondly, from a project perspective, we launched in Solana. I'm really curious about other ecosystem as well. But I do think crypto is a unique space where people can collaborate really easily. I was waiting in line, chatting with Daria, and we're going to do something together. So I think this is a unique and super fast-paced place where you have to reach out to as many people as possible to collaborate in the beginning to kind of make sure you're solid from a PR, marketing, and partnership perspective to establish that. And lastly, and I think most importantly, is to build a good product first. Some people wanted to, launch a meme coin or whatnot. I think it's actually the worst onboarding experience for non-crypto users to start from a meme coin. So I actually think deep-in user-based, actual product that's usable, consumer-friendly is the way to onboard Web 2 people to Web 3. So to do that, to really just spend a lot of time building a good product, usable product first, because I think the times are different. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I absolutely agree with all mentioned, all that Lizzie and Candice mentioned regarding the trust and the difficulty to build this trust and also the cost of losing this trust of the users. But another keyword I would love to add in this subject is probably transparency and opportunity also to build products that don't require trust. I mean, the concept itself is not on the plate here, especially when it comes to the wallet itself. It's very important to be transparent with the user and to share everything. Everything is possible about the product itself. In our particular case, for the wallets themselves, it's quite important to be open source and to ensure that even if one day the company will decide to leave the market, let's say, with Tanjum Wallet, particularly, we have a solution for this. If something happens, the wallets will continue to work exactly the same way because the application is open source. It can be also recreated anytime, and our users are feeling absolutely secured in this situation because they don't have to trust actually Tanjum Wallet. Whatever decision will be made, it's a self-custodial product where the company itself doesn't have any control over your private key, any control over your wallet, so we don't collect any private data, and that's really important for the user to understand that, to trust the company, but also to understand that the trust sometimes is not necessary when the product is built in such a way when it's not actually a subject. You are protected anyway and secured from any decisions. Well, so basically in this particular sub-industry of cold wallets, also not only being open source, but also being transparent and to have the importance of independent audits is also quite large in the crypto space, because those companies are investing quite a lot in their reputation, and the cost of any mistakes is really huge for them. So this is why it's really important for, I believe, not only Web3 wallets, but any actually Web3 product to have to make everything that is possible open source, and all the rest let it on really good, reputable external audits.
I would like to quickly, I agree with everything that has been said, but I would like to add a critical note. First of all, I mean, I love speaking about communities. Communities are important, but they are not, let's say, in my opinion, at all times the answer to everything, right? We have so many, yes, consumer-facing products and projects, but let's not forget about the B2B side as well. There's a lot of important things happening there as well. At Thrilled Labs, our Telegram community has 25 members. And that is because I don't focus on Telegram. Like, I think it's very, very important to have a community. Yes, if you have a token, yes, as well. But there are too many communities, in my opinion, quite often. And let's be honest, especially if there's a token involved, why do we want a community? So that to a great extent, we have those also who buy the token, we're holding them, so that the early investors can make some extra money. I mean, I love communities. I think it's important, but I do think that from a business perspective, at times, it can be even more important to have direct relationships with people, to have smaller types of groups of people that trust each other, that know that they can do business together. That is more from a business perspective. Community is great, but not for every type of project out there. If you're slightly more B2B, I would say unless you have a token, you don't necessarily need to focus so much on community, but that is my personal opinion. I know that VCs will disagree, especially given that we will launch a token later this year, but we will do it internally actually, so that it has a value within our ecosystem, and then slowly we build up demand, and then we will launch it externally next year or so with hopefully the Thrilled users rather than the Telegram community. Anyway, another really short thing that I wanted to add indeed is this whole paradoxical nature really quickly of trust in this industry, right? We really want to build this trustless type of technology, which is great, which is merit-based, everyone is welcome, but then once again, from a business perspective, you need to know the right people, you have to have the right connections, etc., etc. That is, in my opinion, highly paradoxical. I would add here as well that we're lucky here today to be all here, right? In Monaco, wonderful Web3 event. But so many people don't have the opportunity to be here. Not only, right, if you're living in other parts of the world, but maybe also the elderly. And also just normal people. I was talking at the elevator this morning with a guy in my hotel, and he was like, yeah, I invest in stocks. And I was like, how about crypto? And he was like, yeah. I mean, I kind of like feel it's like a scam, really volatile. And he was like a clever guy, you know? So what I'm trying to say is that community is great, building products for other Web3 people, great, right? Startups, building for startups, great. But having also consumer-facing products that are not really looking at Web3, such as, you know, what you're doing, or also focusing on the Web3 B2B, or just Web3 businesses focusing on other types of businesses that are not Web3, long story short, also really, really important. Community is great, but they're not the answer and the start to everything at all times, in my opinion.
I actually agree with you. Just yesterday, somebody asked me the question, what do you think is the biggest flaw in crypto marketing? And I said this obsession with using KOLs and focusing on the communities and the communities only. There's so many other stakeholders there that, you know, they just conveniently forget, because it's just all about what's happening on Twitter, what's happening in Discord and on the Telegram groups. And you're just never going to come out of the bubble where what you're doing is going to be useful for the rest of society.
Interesting point. And I'm going to move on to the next question and ask it to Alice. What Web3 emerging technologies are you most bullish on, and why?
If we limit the context in Web3 technology, I would say stablecoin for sure, because this is a mainstream adoption. That's where the monies are coming from. And apart from that, I think AI would be also very interesting, because it opens up a new use case, like versus like human economy and agent economy. And I'm trying to find a space like where crypto could contribute to the AI economy in the future. maybe they will just directly using USDT, USDC to talk to each other, because it's way easier, because you don't need to wait for banks. You don't need their approval, right? Everything happens 24 hours borderlessly on chain. And AIs don't really need to learn how to use those protocols. They could just use their base code to talk to each other, right? You don't care about liquidity. You don't even need to use the Uniswap. You could just find on-chain liquidity pools and try to optimize that using your own algorithm. So I think that's a very interesting use case, and that's very exciting. And apart from that, I think Deepin, for sure, Kudis, what Kudis is doing. We're also the investor of Kudis. I think that's also very interesting. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Thank you.
Thanks for the shout out.
Great. Daria, do you have something to add to the question?
On my personal view, one of the most innovative, recent evolving technologies that haven't been introduced into crypto market recently is quite specific, based on my experience. It's seedless solutions for wallets. And why I believe that it's really impactful is that actually lots of researchers show that one of the most recent reasons why the crypto hacks happen, why lots of users have their wallets drained or have their private key leaked, is improper seed phrase management. And actually there is huge number, like over the past recent year, 2024, around $2 billion have been lost due to improper private key management. And the most recent, the most frequent reason is lost seed phrase or leaked seed phrase. And this is why I believe that seedless solutions nowadays, Tangem particularly has been the first one to launch a cold wallet without seed phrase. It's a seedless solution with totally different approach to backing up your private key. And this solution actually helps a lot to make the community feel more secure to enter the crypto space, and also to feel more confident about your own actions that you take. You don't anymore need to put down those 24 words to store them somewhere secure on your paper. You simply have you have the wallet does this job for you. You have 3 cards with Tangem, with your private key encrypted, and you don't have to think more than this. Everything is already secured for you. And I'm very fascinated about this solution because it's been really adopted by lots of recently evolving wallets since the launch of this idea and the concept. And it really contributes to mass adoption of crypto and to help the community feel more safe and easy to enter the crypto space.
Great, thank you so much. My next question is to Alexandra. How do you balance technical innovation with real-world usability and user experience?
Yeah, that's a good one. In fact, it's a challenge at times, right? If I've learned one thing launching this small app that we've built is that users want a lot. Or I don't like to use the word users. It sounds so Web 2, but anyway, let's just say people that want your product or engage with your project. They are wonderful, they're supportive, but they also expect a lot. I feel that we, or at least myself also, right, having grown up in the 90s and the early 2000s up to today, we're kind of like spoiled with how Web 2 developed and has been designed. And we're now rolling into this era of Web 3, and we somehow kind of like expect the same beauty and UX as what we're used to, maybe even better, because, I mean, tech should improve, right? So how do we really balance that? I think that there is almost like a trilemma going on between, on the one side, the UX of products, the fact that they oftentimes need to be free, right? Because we're very much used to having all these wonderful companies and products, what they're offering for free. And also the fact that it's like scalable and secure and that it respects your data. I feel that we try to do all of that at Thrilled Labs, right? Our app is free, we try to make it look nice, and we are respectful of people's data. But then the question is, how do you survive as a company? Because money or crypto has to come from somewhere, right? To pay for your servers, to pay for your team. So where is the trade-off? the question is, this is like literally the question, where as a founder or as an entrepreneur you are building a trade-off for a product. Either people have to pay, things have to look maybe a little bit less nice and convenient, or your data, for instance, gets sold, or you get leveraged in a different type of way by a company. If someone has the ultimate solution, let me know. What I think is to try to strike a right balance. So have a product that is good, that is to a great extent free, but also try to monetize and make some money in a kind of like a fair way. That's at least what I'm trying to do. So yeah, this is a very personal answer as to what we're trying to do at Trilled Labs. But did I answer the question actually even? Yeah, to an extent. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So my next question is to Candice. So Web3 promises decentralization and inclusion, right? But is it truly delivering on what for women and for underrepresented founders?
Absolutely not. I'm not going to talk about the very obvious conversation about manuals and, going to a conference and then, women being asked, oh, where's your boyfriend or where's your partner or things like that. I'm going to talk about that because everyone talks about that all the time. Let's talk about underrepresented founders. Let's talk about the fact that if you don't have a big name or if you're not, trolling on Twitter, you tend to be overlooked on the big stage. And no matter how useful a product that you're building or how noble the cause that you have in your mind, right, it barely gets spotlight as often as somebody who is, I don't know, CEO of an exchange, and when the prices go down or go up, they're constantly in the news. But then you have other founders who have a different perspective, perhaps, and they are not actually, the say isn't actually spotlighted for other people. And if we talk a little bit about diversity, it's not just about gender diversity. It's diversity in skills, in background, in, experience. I come from a very corporate, public listed background. 15 years before I came to Web3, never going to go back. Please don't crash this industry. I need to stay in this industry. There is a lot of people who, say, F fiat, or, we hate the corporate, I'm Gen Z, I'm here, I'm a startup. But you can actually learn a lot from people who had a different kind of experience before and different set of skills before. And we talk about, gender diversity as well. It is a bit harder, I think, hiring with a good gender balance in the team and, not in the team, but the leadership itself. I think that's where the problem lies, right? And then you have women, doing PR, doing marketing, doing community management, HR. That's where the traditional roles of women are set in, Although now I think more and more there's a lot of marketing and PR leads that are actually men, not male. So yeah, I think that everyone chasing this casino outcome end up, with a certain group of team members. You see a certain group of people on the panels. They're the same people over and over again, no matter where they are in the world. And I think because nobody's actually remembering the first principles and why they're actually here, and that's a big problem. And we've gone from where the original Bitcoin white paper was published then, promising financial freedom, to basically trying to earn people money as quick as possible. So.
Thank you. Do you have something to add, maybe?
Yeah, I would love to add, I don't know how many of you here are founders. I'm assuming a lot. I think the first thing is take a hard look at yourself and your team. What are you missing? Are you good enough? Is your product good enough to really be like the unicorn where you don't have to play this game? Or you do have to play this game, meaning you do have to build some sort of marketing strategy, if not KOL, some other like bigger, longer term vision? If so, do you have the right people, hire the right people, or outsource? So I think having that self-acknowledgement is really, really important, and understanding like where you are and what do you need from that underrepresented group of people, which, by the way, I don't really somehow feel like I am part of it in Web3. Obviously, as a woman, yes, underrepresented, but as like Asian, like I speak Chinese, so it feels in somewhat still in a privileged position. Like you said, like we're in Monaco. We're able to have access to a lot of people and talking to them. So like use this opportunity and privilege, connect as much as possible. I think you do have to, whoever you are as a founder, you do have to put yourself out there, close the gap with VCs, talking to projects, talking to big dogs in a way, to push it through in the beginning, or outsource. Yeah.
Thank you. And my next question would like follow on this one. And what structural or cultural shifts the industry needs, Web3, to level up this field? And ask it to Alice.
I think the structural culture shift is already happening, as like all the regulators are studying about stable coins. The next thing will be DeFi. Because I'm in New York, so like I heard a lot of, like even in a small conference at Salha, last year maybe you can see only one senator or something, government official in that meeting, but this year for one Salha summit, I think I probably see 8 of them coming from Republican or from Democrats, and everyone is studying, and they're actually learning and taking notes about what crypto is doing. And they, like, both parties really want crypto voters, so they are trying their best to catch up with that. So that's the biggest culture shift. And at the same time, in the country level, you can also see Hong Kong is taking up right after Genius Act in the U.S. Was proposed, and then Hong Kong also has like a similar act. In the same box right now. So I think Asia will follow up quickly, and also Middle East. In Middle East, people like merchants can already deposit their USDC directly through a local bank in a regulated way, and you can get like 6 to 5% annual yield through that bank. That means you don't even need to off-ramp when the merchants receive this stablecoin. And And like when you actually withdraw these money from stablecoin to fiat, you can use these money to kind of offset your tax, which is a great example of how stablecoin is completely consolidated into a country's financial system and the banking rail. And you see, what if Genius Act really take into place? And then the U.S. banks start to accept that, and then other countries will follow that, and then that will completely change everyone's life. Say like all the stable coins now people issue would be 1-to-1 back to U.S. dollars. So that means like everyone has access to U.S. dollars in the future, no matter where you are, even if you're in South America, even if you're in Southeast Asia, where like you don't even have a bank in your town. So I think that's the biggest culture shift right now.
Great, thank you. Alexandra, do you have maybe something to add to this one?
Yes, for sure. I want to quickly circle back with one thing that I found maybe important to say, because we were speaking before about conferences and kind of like replicating the same types of companies and faces on stages and whatnot really quickly. And that actually relates to maybe a cultural shift that we might or might not need. That depends on your opinion. Of course, there where the money or the crypto accumulates, right? We see the power also accumulating. In that way, in my opinion, Web3 very much replicates, even if we don't want it necessarily, Web2, but also traditional financial institutions and how we have arranged our societies. Power and money buys more power and money. And at Trilled Labs, we work with over 30, 40, 50 event partners. And what we indeed see, all, the same sponsors, like they pay for it for a spot to sit on stage. Not everywhere, not at every event. Depends a little bit if an event is more commercial, a little bit more community driven, or like this one, right? A bit of a mix. But that's really important to be aware of. Let's say where the money accumulates, power accumulates. With regards to systemic shifts, I mean, we already tapped a lot into like inclusion, representation. Maybe a quick note would be where the ultimate funding goes from VCs, but also from angel investors. We see approximately going about 3% to female-led startups. That's really not that much. I'm not saying that you all should massively start supporting female startups. That's up to you. I'm a believer in competition and whatnot. But do realize that where the money goes, development goes, right? And if we do look also from an economical perspective at female-led startups, they tend to do very well as mixed founding teams. So just mentioning, we're raising. So feel free to reach out. Final shift is, final point that I perhaps wanted to make is, I'm not even entirely sure if we have really uncovered and discovered what is the ethos of Web3. I think that we all believe in kind of like the same values, but is it even possible to project that over the whole world? Not every state in the world believes in necessarily in, for instance, liberal democracy. There is different values in other countries. I won't go into the details. I don't want to make this into politics. So if we think about systemic shifts and what is needed in terms of change, lots of different things, but I don't know if that is necessarily always possible if we look at the dynamics of a region or of a country, of how roles in countries are divided in terms of people's roles and whatnot. So don't want to make this into kind of like a political assessment, but I don't know if we can necessarily project our values necessarily all across the world, even though that is actually what we were hoping to do as Web3. I think time will tell. I'm not sure.
I think it's an interesting point because I'm quite a first principles maxi. I do agree that there is no absolute there, but I think that there's still space for a lot of projects, especially those that only have started onboarding or being created in the last 2 to 3 years when the casino has gotten really big. To remember the first principles. You don't necessarily need to say it's, like it has to be exactly this and that, but I guess the whole thing is about freedom, right? We're talking about freedom of choice. So you give them options, the financial freedom, and just freedom in general. We talk about, so I worked for quite some time in privacy and worked with a lot of the cypherpunks. So I might have a little bit indoctrinated, but I also come from a really corporate background, so I understand the balance in how it should be, right? And it was interesting when I was working in that space because the media didn't really. They said, yeah, we love it, but nobody cares about privacy, and it is not true. It's because they just don't know how to care about it. So you're right. Maybe it's not possible to kind of project the ethos in every single globally. But I think there's still at least a bit that could touch, each of these different regions. So I guess it's just how much it goes. At the end of the day, if we bank the unbank with, which is, kind of something about the basis of first principles, with how everything is happening in the world, one day you might become the unbank. So if you already have this kind of structure set up and have that kind of cultural mindset, it might actually save your life and your family's life one day. You never know. So I live in France. I live in Paris. You go, oh my God, so great. But when the war broke out in Ukraine and Russia, we were impacted. Because we get a lot of power from Russia and everything like that. So Senia, you live in Paris as well. So it was the first time that I genuinely felt like a major world event like that. I didn't grow up in the war era, right? So to me, it just seems like something in history, but to actually see something so close as well, it made me wonder. It made me wonder whether my bank card would work. It made me wonder if the economic system in France collapsed. How am I going to go back to where I came from? No, so I can. So I'm Singaporean. I'm also Australian. So I have options, but it's pretty far. So yeah, so how do I get there? How do I cross the ocean? And how do I get the money to cross the ocean if the systems collapse? But with crypto, if there are structures in place to help save my life, I'm proud that I had a hand in actually creating that. So yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Anyways, completely agree here. Like cross-border payments, that's amazing. Anyways, my last question will be to Daria. And how can DAOs, NFTs, and DeFi tools be used to create more inclusive economic models for creators and communities?
Well, I will always stay on supporting the mass adoption of crypto and simplifying the user experience. So I believe one of the most important and untapped opportunities currently in Web3 is to make the products as much easier and accessible as possible for the user, to simplify the user UX, and also to enlarge the opportunities, collaboration opportunities between the projects to deliver several value propositions in simplified UX products. Particularly, like wallets can get integrated with several NFT platforms with DeFi, and providing actually reaching out to larger audiences. And in Tangent, particularly, we are trying to simplify the user experience to make not only cold storage but also other secondary services like DeFi solutions, staking, exchanges, purchasing, selling crypto, access to NFT, as simple as possible to anyone. And we have been talking a lot about inclusion, about diversity in this discussion. So it's extremely important to make your product as accessible as possible and to reach the level of inclusion in terms of functionality, and to reach out to several audiences, no matter the gender, no matter the age. Nowadays, even your grandma can simply start to use crypto because the solution came so simple to the market that you can simply wear your crypto on your ring, for example, with Tangent Wallet, yes, Tangent Ring. And it's also something that helps us to onboard more women into the crypto space, and that actually have been traditionally been a little bit underestimated in fintech, but now everyone has simple solutions and simple access to the crypto space, to education, and to the products that we built are really bringing a lot of impact to onboard as much users as possible and as much diverse and large target audiences as possible.
Great, thank you. And we have the last 5 minutes left for our panel, and I'll open the floor for the audience. If you guys have any questions to these amazing women, have a few minutes to raise your hand and ask something. Sure.
Well, the first stock exchange in the world was formed in Amsterdam in 1602, and they started trading paper, which represented something which was produced as an asset, right? And then came the time when the shares took over, money, shares, and the production of the goods and valuable assets sort of was more and more distant. Then someone invented bitcoins, right? I think 2008, where something is 20 million of them, and they're blockchain protected. Wonderful. And then tokens came after. I just want to see where the tendency goes on the world history of trading valuable things. And now I see that more and more people are trading more or less a vacuum. And the distance between the value production and trading is more and more. I just want to see your panel's opinion where we're going. We can say, okay, here is nothing, vacuum, let's trade it to each other, let's sell it to each other. Maybe the mechanism of trading is more important, or insecure, it's wonderful, you can have wallets, whatever, but at the end, I want to see the connection between the value generation and what you're doing, guys, in terms of trading that. Thank you.
Who wants to take the floor?
I don't have all the answers. What I can tell you is that my mom was actually one of the first female traders on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange in the 80s. And by the way, in terms of this topic, she was one of the 4 females amongst almost 400 men. And it's still almost like that today. So that is like just a separate note. I'm from there, so just wanted to mention that. In terms of trading, I personally feel that we need to focus a little bit more on value. If you look, right, the prior panel was also about like automated market makers, bots, etc. Like everything is becoming so much automated. I understand why. We want efficiencies. We want, open up 24/7 markets. From a trader perspective, I think that it actually makes the rich richer and the poor not necessarily better off. So that is my opinion here. I don't necessarily think that all the projects in the crypto space should focus on, facilitating trading or having NFTs or indeed having a token that's getting traded by humans or by bots. I think it's important to focus on the project and the companies that actually provide value or a great consumer product or deepen or whatever helps people in this world. So I find your question interesting. This is my takeaway from here. I think we should focus more on value, specifically there where we see more and more automation and less value getting distributed given all this automation and AI coming in. But I'm sure that the other ladies have more interesting things to say about that.
I would just add, I see what you say or you're saying. So there has been definitely a period of me doing trading in the vacuum. If we think about crypto as a whole, an event of freedom for people to have the once in a lifetime wealth generation event, especially for people who didn't come from money, they don't care about the 5% APR. They don't care about the 10%. They care about, can I actually change my life? So I do think there is a tendency of trading a trend, buy or sell. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. Me personally, no, I'm very risk averse. I'm like spot only kind of person. So I personally focus on value, but like Alex said, there is no way of us being able to like project this with our own background on what's going on. So I definitely think it's more legitimized to trade just the trend and not so much of a value behind the company. But I also think at some point, investors, reasonable consumers, a bunch of other institutions that come in or look inward will see, okay, what is the fair market that we want to actually, invest in this company, and what would be the right valuation or, yeah. So I think with the mainstream adoption, with the institutions coming in, there will be more of that equilibrium of that, what that benchmark will look like for different kind of projects. But I personally don't see it in the next year or so. So that's my answer.
I'm not a trader. I don't have the time, nor the patience, nor the focus. I'm constantly working. But while I talked about the casino, I think there is a place for everything. I do want the casino to shrink a little bit more, just because it's distracting from a lot of good that other projects are doing. And having said that, though, projects need to make more data-driven decisions to actually create the true value, the potential of the true value that they have for consumers, users, or even their team members. Right now, the market actually, the whole industry runs on sentiment, and maybe that was well and good when most projects wanted to have this romantic fantasy of being bootstrap basement projects, but that's not where we are right now. We're not early anymore. We've been here for a really long time. We should do better. So if this trading vacuum that you speak of, it's basically somebody has this sentiment or something, and then it just runs wild because somebody said something on Twitter or something like that. So going back to what I said, make more data-driven decisions. Get the insights, get the information. It's not just about do your own research anymore. Do your own research again and again and again, And I think that the true value, the potential of that true value, it's going to be a 5x or 10x than what it currently is.
Well, to add up to that, I think it would be really unfair not to admit that finance in total is actually just trading, right? It's not like from trading stocks to trading crypto to like trading the stablecoin issued by other companies. It's still built on trust, and there are definitely a lot of speculations, a lot of bubbles in the future, and crypto is a subset of finance, so we have to admit that trading is definitely the first use case of crypto, of Bitcoin. But as all the kind of financial industry would been through, their ups and downs, sometimes the real value is maybe overvalued and then, kind of deviate from the fundamentals. And that's when the bubble will burst. Like in this market, it will create a lot of opportunities by using different leverages, different financial toolings, trading tools. But market will correct itself in maybe 3 or 5 years. So that's why we have the bull market and the bear market. But the ones that actually survived is definitely the ones that actually deliver real value, and then the market will discover the value again, and then the token or your stock will go up again. Yeah.
One last point. I don't know what perspective you're asking this question from, but if you're an investor, I think just be patient with your project. And as a project founder, I would say I'm struggling also, kind of like just being the balance between how much hype do I want to create versus how much value I want to deliver and build. So I think constantly treading that line in crypto is a very unique situation, but it's a very fun thing to do. But I think having the right investor, having the right people supporting your vision, understanding kind of where you want to be long term will be really important to have the right people on board. Otherwise, you can be influenced to do things that you don't want to do.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we've run out of time for our panel, and I want to thank all the ladies who joined the panel today and all the listeners. Yeah, and keep building, and thank you.
Thank you.